Hi, this is Holly from STL. Today is June the 19th. Today is Saturday, 2026. And the time is about 10 something in the morning, soon to be afternoon. I came in because at this present time, I'm not able to get therapy or um, see a counselor or anything due to no insurance. But I wanted to share something that now that I look back on um, about my mother. I'm going to try not to cry. And I'm going to need, and she's not here to defend herself. So I'm only going by my raising and my understanding of how she treated me and the things that she said to me at a younger age that still haunts me. She told me, well, first of all, she was only 19 when she got pregnant and she was married. She married somebody older. At the time, he was 25. Yeah, he was around 25, 24, 20, going on 25, somewhere around there. Because when he passed away, he was 27. And by that time, I was only 3, and she was only 21, going on 21 years of age. And when she found out she was pregnant, she wanted a boy. She had already picked his name out. His name was going to be Anthony. And when she found out she was having a girl, it disappointed her. And she didn't even have a name for me. So it was left up to my dad and her sister. And my father wanted to name me Kimberly. And then my aunt, she said, why don't you name her Holly? I really like that name. There was some kind of, I'm assuming she was saying some kind of actress, and her name was Holly. And she said, I think that's a pretty name. And they decided on Holly Denise. And in the process of my mother growing up so fast, she had lost a lot of weight because she was distraught. You know, she's got this new baby. She's got this new baby. Her husband just died. She, she just started a new job. She had so much going on. And so her favorite aunt, which is Aunt Willie, their birthday was in the same month. And they were a lot alike. A lot alike. Okay. Sorry, I had to clear this up off my lip. But they were a lot alike. And this is the story my mother told me now. Okay. She told me, she told her aunt that she was going to move back home with her mother, which is my grandmother. And she was, going to put the apartment up for sale. And my aunt talked her into staying. So we lived in St. Charles. Well, she after she decided to do that, it was really a smart move because she had help raising me. My parents helped raise me. I was with them majority of the time because my mother worked all the time. And she was young. And so she was as Cardi B was saying, the streets are calling. My mama was, you know, being young, dating and out in the clubs and hanging out and enjoying herself, you know. And when it was time for me to go live with her permanently, it was a culture shock. It was a culture shock because I had to go into survival mode with my mother because my mother did not, she didn't respect my thoughts. She did not respect how I felt. She never even asked me how I felt about things. Um, she just wanted me to stay out of her way of her living her life. She made sure I had a roof over my head. She made sure that I made sure that nobody really messed with me. Um, and she made sure I had nice things and everything. But I think when I really started distrusting my mother, it's the way she treated me. Everything about me was like a chore for her. Oh, your hair's so thick. And she would do my hair and I would hate it because she was so rough and heavy handed. And she eventually took me to her hairstylist. And I don't know why she eventually took me to her hairstylist to get a perm and broke all my hair out. And I didn't even have a say so. That's my first time having to start taking care of myself around my mother. I didn't trust her with my hair no more. I didn't trust her. I stayed out of her way. Even though deep inside as a kid, I always wanted her to respect me and to say she was proud of me. But she never did. Anytime somebody said something negative about me, she would believe it. She never would ask me about it. She never would say, well, Holly, is this true? She would just believe everything anybody said about me, and she would just embarrass me. You need to go apologize. But they was messing with me first. They was messing with me first. Like I said, as long as I stayed out her way of what she was trying to do for herself, I was okay. But only time I got my mother's attention is when I was cutting up. So that wasn't often at all because I didn't like the way she disciplined me. I don't remember my mother explaining nothing to me. She showed me. Every emotion was anger, calling me out my name, hitting me. So since I didn't like those things, I stayed out her way and stayed minding my own business. If I could handle it myself as a kid, I did. And her first husband, he was kind. And I remember why they got a divorce, which I'd rather not speak on. But it broke my mother's heart, and it hurt me because I hated to see my mother hurt. Even though we didn't have a good relationship, I still didn't want to see my mother hurt. But that second husband, I had to fend for myself for 4 years until I got out of his house. He didn't try to do anything sexually. He was verbally abusive. And I had to remind him that that's not what you're going to do. You might do my mother like that, but you're not finna do me like that. And I stood on that. And my mother was like, you can't be like, well, you're going to have to be the bigger person. No. I'm a kid. You asking me to be the bigger person. You asking me to allow this man, who is not my father, to talk to me any kind of way? You done lost your damn mind. Now, mind you, I didn't say that to my mother, but I did tell her it ain't gonna happen. So, majority of the time when I got out of school, I didn't go home. I got there about the same time she did. Now I might come home, wash dishes real quick, and leave. But I was not getting ready to cater to him because he wasn't none of my husband. And he was horrible. And I even told his mama that. His mama, because she would, because I was around the same age as her daughter, his sister. We were close in age. She's like maybe 2 years older than me. Yeah. And what was so crazy was me and his mother, our birthdays were the same. Yeah. Our birthdays were on the same date and same month. And she understood me. And I sat up there and talked about her son like a dog. She couldn't say a word. And matter of fact, it brought us closer. It sure did. I can remember years ago, I spent the night, and she knew I had more sense than her. Well, I was more mature. And her daughter was just being a teenager. See, I didn't have the luxury to be a teenager because I was too busy protecting myself and being in survival mode. I knew if I mess with boys and if I get pregnant, I'm on my own. So that was definitely not going to happen. If I got in trouble, I knew I was going to be sitting in jail. So that never happened. All I did was mind my business. I had a few close people that I hung out with, and I stayed out of trouble. And I loved it. It really didn't bother me. Was I perfect? No. But if I did get in trouble, I knew how to get myself out of it without having to even ask my mother. Yeah. But back to my aunt. And she used to, this is my niece. I'm only 2 years younger than you. But she didn't have me call her, auntie or anything. But her mother always wanted me to go with her because I was more mature. And there was a lot of things I wasn't going to do. And I went to a couple of those Rosetta Kane dances and whatnot. But I didn't put myself out there for boys to even want to hit on me. Boy, you ain't finna, And then on top of that, I realized at a very young age that I attracted older men. I was 16 years old and was seeing somebody 21, 22. He had a car. He had his own job. Yeah. And I called myself hiding it, but my mother picked up on it. I never did date nobody my age. Now, I might have snuck around once or twice. That's with two people. One, two. Out of the 4 years me being at Berkeley High School, it was only 4 guys that I messed with. And it wasn't long. It wasn't long. It wasn't long at all. Real quick. And I didn't sleep with maybe 1, 2 of them. And that was trash. And they were older than me, so they graduated and got out of school before I did. So before they can tell my business, you know. Tell my business, you know. I was really low key. I was very low key in high school and quiet for the most part. And they tried me a couple of times where they wanted to fight me, but it was all because of jealousy, you know. But for the most part, I just wanted to get out of high school. I didn't graduate, but I did get my diploma. Not a GED. I got the diploma. I didn't want to walk across the stage with people I didn't like and didn't like me. I was bullied my whole 4 years of high school. Bullied. And what I didn't like is to be fake. And my thing was they would mistreat me out, you know, around a crowd, but when they see me one-on-one, what's up? Why are you up? What's up in me now? And you mistreated me in front of everybody, trying to embarrass me. You know how it is. No, I don't. I need that same energy you had in front of that crowd. I need it now. And my mother, I couldn't even go to my mother and tell her any of this. Any of this. I was always in survival mode. I was always protecting myself. I always really had to do everything on my own. And it's just, even though she's gone and I got past it, I still had mixed emotions at her funeral. It was like, I won't get to see my mom again, but she didn't give me the best childhood emotionally. When I tell you I had to figure out how to be a woman, I had to figure it out. And it was a given. Independent is an understatement. And it killed me to have to ask her for help. It would just, because it was just proving her that I wasn't a woman. But grown people need help too, just like she did. Every time you tell her, I did everything. No, you had a husband. You wouldn't be able to do half the stuff if you didn't have a husband. And she felt like I could have I think what really hurt my feelings the most, she wanted me to be something that I wasn't. Because I have been always, even at a very young age, I mean, 7, 6, 5, 3 years old, I've always been spiritual. I did not know how to convey it over, but I have always been spiritual. She would tell a story sometimes to me. She said, "Oh, when your father died, you was only 3 years old, and you couldn't even tell time. And you would stand at the back door at the exact same time, waiting on your daddy." And she said, "You did that for about a month. You did that for about a month until you realized he wasn't coming back." And she said, "And your grandpa gonna come tell me, you need to take that gal to the doctor because she didn't quit talking." Do you know I didn't start back talking till I was 5? Till I had to go to school. "I don't need to take her to the doctor," she said. She told him, she said, "I didn't need to take her to the doctor." A 3-year-old just quit talking. And that wasn't a concern. She she has she did a lot of traumatizing things to me. And that's one reason why I don't have really a good relationship with women. I try to give women the benefit of the doubt. And a lot of women don't like me simply because I'm transparent. I'm not about embarrassing women. I'm about uplifting women. I'm not about tearing a woman down. I'm about uplifting a woman because that was something that wasn't done to me. And I know how it made me feel. But there's no reason for me to be jealous of a woman because my thing is the same way God blessed her, he'll bless me. Yeah. And see, my thing is I've never been a pleaser. People please. I don't care. But it came to my mom. I wanted that validation that she never gave me until almost up to the day she died. Oh, this video's been long enough. I mean, this is probably just one of many segments I'll be sharing about my mother. And like I said, I'm not mad at her, but it was so many things that was not addressed before she left. But I already had closure about it. But I couldn't understand. I could. I could. It was no need to talk about the past. We At the present time of her passing, I would go see her every day when I got off work because I had just bought a house and I thought the house was going to be for me and her. I feel like her passing away was the one time I knew she was going to fight it because this wasn't her first time having cancer. and she beat it. It was in remission. And I just knew she was going to make it this time. It was such a shock. It was such a shock. I felt like now, I know I needed somewhere to stay, but I've always lived in apartments. And when I had my son, I said, oh, I'm going to get a house because he needs somewhere to run around. But every time I tried to get a house, something came up with my money. I had to get a new job. It was just so much all the time. And it took me almost 10 years to get my house on my own. And my mother could quote scriptures, but I don't believe that she believed in that word. I'm going to tell the story real quick, and then I'm going to shut this down, because when I was looking for my house in 2019, I got this horrible agent, a man. I'd rather not say his name. And all he was worried about was commission. And he had a lender, and my credit was like 705. So I told him, I said, it would be nice if I can get a 3-bedroom, 2 bathrooms, and a garage. That's what I want, and that's what I need. And he kept telling me, okay. Well, your credit's not good enough for that. This is houses in your price range. And those houses had like 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. He had got close to a 3-bedroom, 1 bathroom, and it was a brick house. And that house was so raggedy, I would have, as much as the house was, I would have had to put that amount of money in the house to be fixed. I mean, he was showing me some terrible homes. And then he showed me this one home that was like a starter home. And my mother would go sometimes with me to look at some of these houses. And I'm thinking that'll be something for us to do together. You know, she's had a condo. She sold a condo, and she didn't been in, houses and stuff. Anytime she moved into a house, it was a man's house. But when she had got put out of her third husband's house, she got a condo. Loved it. 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, upstairs, downstairs, and a basement. Hit both highways, in a perfect location. But she was so dying to be with a man. She gave that all up to go live in a house that Jack built in a dysfunctional neighborhood. But it was more older people, but they had this one particular house with all the crackheads. If you know, you know. But anyway. And so it would just upset her so, because they was not keep the neighborhood decent. But anyway. And so when it was time for me to get a house, and we was looking at this one particular house in Florissant, and she was like, oh, this is nice. And I'm thinking, no, this ain't nice, because it ain't what I asked for. I said, these 2 little small rooms, this basement, these 2 little raggedy, and the woman that was selling the house, she got married, and he didn't buy her a house and built to her a house in St. Peter. Okay. And she didn't even have a garage. So I'm like, oh, come on. You don't need no garage. You can wipe your car off and stuff. It ain't gonna get you a cover to put over your car. I mean, she was just like she was tired of looking at houses. So I said, okay, go ahead and put a bid on the house. And I was not happy. So after I dropped her off at home and oh, you can fix it up. It's you know, da, 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 da. And I told myself when I started looking at houses, I'm not getting ready to settle. If I'm gonna get into a house, I'm going to get a house that I really want. That's what I was telling myself and Jesus. So when I dropped her off, I went home and called him, the real estate guy, and told him, don't put no bid on this house. I want my money back. So he was upset about it, and I was done with him. I was done with him. And once I got my money back, I snuck over to, I had to sneak because I ended up telling her. I said, I didn't put that bid on that house. I didn't want that. And me and Brad are moving into these apartments. And they were, secured and really nice, And so we moved there for a year. I stacked my money up. I got my credit up to par. My credit was like 745 by this time. I had established credit, and I found another lender, and they so happened had the same last name. And I asked him, "You related to him?" And he said, "No, I don't know him." And he was an older man. I had a terrible crush on him, but he was older, and he had been married for 20-something years, and he was slender, had a afro. He was so handsome to me, and he was much older, but anyway, and he picked my house. When I tell you that man listened to me, he said, "Well, what are you looking for?" And I told him, I said, I would like to have a 3-bedroom, 2 bathrooms, a full basement, and a garage. He said, okay. And he would call me periodically to let me know there's some houses that would come available. And every time I got around him, I felt so safe. I tell you, I'm glad he was a good person, because he could have just, he did something to my spirit, and he knew that I liked him, but he kept it professional. He never once was out of pocket. We would say little flirty things to each other, but it wasn't nothing where it wasn't even sexual. It was just little cute things that just made you say, God, he's a good man. She really got a good husband. You know what I'm saying? Because I was so scared, because when I got close time to get the house, I got nervous, because this is a house. And when I tell you, he got everything that I wanted on my wish list, plus some. I never expected to have a fireplace. I didn't expect to have like a skylight in the kitchen, in my bathroom, quiet neighborhood. He did a beautiful job picking my house. I got to give him his credit. He said, "Oh, Holly, I like this house a lot." He said, "It's somewhere I would want to live." And I thought, oh, okay, let me see it. And I walked around, and it was outdated, and it scared me. And me and him was talking. I said, because we couldn't really be together because it was COVID time. And he called me. He said, well, what do you think of the house? I said, I really like it. I said, sometimes I would talk to him just like if he was my man. And I didn't mean to, but that's just how I felt. And I told him, I said, I don't know. I said, there's so many things that need to be updated. He said, don't worry about that. As long as the foundation's good. I said, but what about that list that you showed me that needed to be taken care of? Those are all expensive things, And he's like, well, don't worry about it. They'll get done. And I said, you know what? I don't know about this house. I think I'm going to call out and I need to rethink this. And I hung up on him. He called me right back. And the way he said my name, he said, Holly, I thought we were much better than this. He said, I'm not going to put you in something that is not safe for you and your family. He said, I'm going to get everything on that list done. Don't worry about it. When I tell you that was my first encounter, and that's sad to say, with a man that really meant what he said, and he did. And he did. He did everything he said he was going to do for me. When I tell you that was the best feeling in the world. And I hold on to that feeling because I know now that I'm worthy of that. Because I worked hard getting that house. I had to stay on a job that mentally mistreated me. I ended up losing that job. And let me tell you, I don't want to put another job over my mental health. I don't care how much money I make. It's not worth my health. I gained so much weight just eating out of anxiety and just, but I tell you, that real estate man was just amazing. And you know what? I'm not for cheating. I'm not for messing up somebody's home. I'm not for intervening or anything because I don't want to cut my blessings off. But when I tell you I could have slept with him in a heartbeat on the strength of the way he treated me, the way he knew he was masculine without being disrespectful. He was masculine and being sure and confident in his self. He was masculine and knowing how to make me feel safe. He was masculine with being honest and trustworthy. He was being masculine by looking out for me even though I was not his woman. And he never once was disrespectful or never once was, she could really walk away and trust him. She really could. I tell you, with him being with me, he was perfect. As far as I'm concerned, he was amazing.
And I hope that he's okay. I'm hoping he's fine. Um, is he perfect? I don't know. He might have cheated on her before. I don't know. But he kept it professional with me, and he was amazing. He really was amazing. Real estate man. I'd rather not say his name either. But he got me into a beautiful home. I've been here now 6 years. I just knew my mother was going to move in with me. My son's still here, though. He came back from Oklahoma, and he's trying to find his way. And I'm not rushing him to get out because he's 24 now. And I'm not rushing him to get out the house because it's hard out here now. It's hard for his mom, and I'm 56. But I keep the faith and try to do what I need to do. Yeah, that's it. God put people in your path for a reason. And he put a nice, kind man that cared about how I felt. He was attentive. He listened to what I needed. And I'm thankful. Yeah. I went from talking about my mama to my real estate man. And I miss him, but he's married, and I respect that. Hopefully I'll meet somebody like that one day, but right now, I want to heal this little girl in me. I want to heal this little girl in me. And I had to cut a lot of people off because I don't have time to reteach people how to treat me. Because my mother set the tone for people to mistreat me. If you mistreat my mama, that means you're up to mistreat me. And I'm not having it. And I don't care if you're family or not. You're not finna mistreat me and think I'm not gonna say something about it. That disrespect, I can't handle it. I'm not good at it. And I stand on my word. And whoever runs across this video, I've already forgiven. I moved on, but you will not have the presence of my presence and believe that you can still treat me any kind of way. Have a blessed day.